Namaskar. Assalamu alaikum. A very warm welcome to one and all. Thank you very much for joining us one again on the another episode of Meet My Gems. Meet My Gems is the brainchild of Dr. Prem Kumar Agarwal. Through these motivational and institutional interviews, Dr. Agarwal brings before us some great individuals who, through their hard work and dedication, secured great positions in their lives. And those positions speaks for themselves. Now, the Dr. Prem Kumar Agarwal is one of the most respected, one of the, I must say, one of the most loved teachers the legal field could ever have. I am absolutely privileged to give, I am absolutely privileged, uh, hello, privileged that I had got an opportunity to learn so much from him. Dr. Agarwal has inspired and guided numerous students across the globe. It is through his motivation and support many of us have found the real path to success. Dr. Agarwal himself was an aspirant of West Bengal Judicial Services examination in the year 1999, and he secured the top rank in the examination. Yet he chose the noble path of teaching to inspire and motivate the future generation to understand the law and love the law of our land. He is currently the head of the postgraduate department of law of Hooghly Mohsin College. Formerly, he has also served as the faculty of WVNUJS, Kolkata. He has also served, yeah, currently he is also visiting faculty of National Judicial Academy of the Honorable Supreme Court of India and State Judicial Academy of our Honorable High Court of Calcutta. Students from all spectrum of life have received all kind of support and guidance from Dr. Agarwal and become prosperous and affluent individuals in their field of law. Sir, with warm heart, I request you to enlighten us on the objectives of these the helpful interactive sessions. Pass over to you, sir.
Thank you, Joydeep. It was a joy to connect with you. And today's episode of Meet My Gems is very special in the sense one of my junior gems will interview or interact with one of my senior gems, both of whom practice in the apex court of the country, the Honorable Supreme Court of India. Joydeep, after qualifying from KIT Law School, started practicing in the Supreme Court of India from 2016 onwards. He is presently involved in the Legal Services Committee as consultant to assist the committee. He also was very active as a student when he was in KIT and participated in the National Trial Advocacy Competition organized by NLU Ranchi. He also participated in the PN Bhagavati International Moot Court Competition. Joydeep is a very enthusiastic junior advocate now practicing in the Supreme Court, and he will interact with another bright gem of mine. He is Advocate Anurag Pandey, who is a graduate in law from the Department of Law, University of Bardhaman. He has been practicing in the Supreme Court in since 1999. He also practices in the Delhi High Court, National Consumer Disputes Redressal Commission, State Consumer Disputes Redressal Commission, extensively worked with many senior advocates in civil and criminal and education related matters. He represented Union of India in the Supreme Court panel as a Supreme Court panel advocate for National Insurance Company, panel advocate for Supreme Court Legal Services Committee, and panel advocate as amicus curiae in Supreme Court of India. But our Anurag, our beloved Anurag, is known much more for his pro bono work and his helpful nature. Whosoever approaches Anurag, he is always there with a smile to help anyone and everyone. That's why he qualifies to be my gem today. So, Joydeep, through his interesting, insightful
Yes,
questions, will make Anurag speak his mind and heart out, which will be an inspiration, a motivation for the youngsters to come to practice of law. Jaideep, now you may begin.
yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good
Sir,
afternoon.
sir. Sir, actually, we all wanted to know from you that what actually inspired you to choose this profession particularly.
Before answering my question, first of all, I would like to thank Mr. Prem Kumar Agrawal for connect this fraternity and all these junior and senior members together on this platform of MyGem. And Mr. Agrawal is one of the finest teacher. I was going through the several interviews of other gems of Mr. Agrawal, and the maximum of the students were of the view that if we go on counting the contribution of Mr. Agrawal, then that they will be short. Now, before answering your question that why I choose this profession, first let me tell that in this world there are so many good teachers and there are so many quality students, but Mr. Agrawal is a bridge between the success and the quality students. He is the bridge. So success, students getting success is definitely through a link that is a good teacher, and Mr. Agrawal has done a tremendous job. I know Mr. Prem Agrawal when I was in University of Burdwan, though he was not my teacher, but the guidance, the support, the ideas imparted by Mr. Prem Kumar Agrawal has given me a great opportunity to achieve this goal. Now, why I choose this career? During the law, when I was in the Department of Law, University of Burdwan, we had a compulsory course of Supreme Court visit. When I visited Supreme Court, everybody visits. So many ideas comes into the mind of so many students. But after coming to the Supreme Court visit, I had a goal and desire to become an advocate on record and represent the litigants, the needy people before the apex court of this country. So I choose this profession so that we are the social doctor, we can do some justice to the person who are not able to avail this opportunity to come to the Supreme Court. So a mind to help pro bono as well as a professional, and it was my own interest to become an advocate on record and serve this legal fraternity.
Okay, sir. Sir, now my next question to you is that according to you, how it is different from other professions? Means actually, what makes advocacy stand out from other professions?
An advocate is different from other profession because we are the social doctor. The responsibility on advocate is not only to win a single case. We are representing a society. Nobody has knowledge or freedom of speech to that extent what an advocate have by virtue of the immunity given by the Advocate Act. So we can represent, we can raise our voice, we can fight for justice, we can fight for equality, which a normal layman who is ignorant about the law cannot agitate this issue. So advocate has a responsibility to not towards only his client, not only towards his profession, not in terms of money, but advocate has also a responsibility towards the society.
Correct. Sir, my next question that is all we all wanted to know that are you the first generation lawyer in your family or anyone is there in your family before that
No,
person has
no,
completed law and in the legal field?
I'm the first generation lawyer in the family. But let me tell you one
Okay.
thing
Okay,
that
sir.
even if somebody says that I am the second generation,
Yes.
but before coming to the second generation, one has to start with first generation. There must be someone who has established as a first generation. Then
Yes,
only
sir.
the people second generation enjoy the same. So even if we consider or we think that a second generation advocate is much privileged because he gets every infrastructure and everything before he joins the profession, but even before the second generation there is a first generation. Though I am the first generation
Yes,
advocate
sir.
and And the first generation definitely has to work hard and establish the everything. But it doesn't matter if one has the determination. It hardly matters you are a first generation or second generation.
Yes, sir. So then the most important question that how did you gather courage to join litigation, being the first generation lawyer?
Huh. I said in the beginning also that during the visit our uh, until and unless you get the opportunity, you see the practical thing, the idea never comes in your mind. It was the contribution of the department, it was the contribution of the teachers who took us to the Supreme Court visit, where everybody acquired or gathered knowledge according to his ability. When I visited, I asked here the many other seniors what is the procedure to practice here. They said you have to be an advocate on record. It's better to be an advocate on record and practice in the Supreme Court. So on that day, I made up my mind that I will go into the litigation work. I was never interested in any judicial service or any job of law officer. From the beginning, I had interest in this legal practice with only object that I will be the master of my own career. I can do the work
Yes,
as per my knowledge, as per my desire, as per the requirement, and at full liberty to use my talent for the poor people. While in judicial system, suppose you are a judge, you are bound by the law and everything. You cannot raise the social cause. You can decide the social cause, but the advocate can raise a social cause and can bring it to a logical end. So that inspired me to
yes,
come
sir.
into the legal field of practice.
Yes, sir. Sir, then the next question is that what kind of challenges did you face during your initial years of practice?
Undoubtedly, the challenges were very difficult. You know, when the plane takes off, it has go to the rigors of on the route. Hmm. So when you start this profession, you will face so many challenges as a first generation. Uh, but your hard work, determination, and patience is very important as far as profession is concerned. You have to start as a junior. You have to do lot of works. There was no work timing, and there was
Yes,
a
sir.
tremendous work, and you have to learn everything, not only as a what is the role of an advocate, but even what a clerk does from very stitching your file to the arguing to the court. It's all the responsibility of advocate. And this is what the profession taught. When you join a chamber, you may be asked to put to very different works of drafting, filing. So you should not hesitate in that. This is the job of clerk or this is the job of munshi. One advocate should know from preparing his file to arguing to the court, and all these things took a lot of time. There was no time. It was a complete hard work of more than 16 or 18 hours in the chamber of my senior. Hmm. And then slowly the things improves and you get work and you get confidence and the situation becomes better and you flourish in this practice.
Yes, sir. Sir, what practice is more favorable, joining any law firm or practicing
See,
independently?
my view is practicing independently is much better than joining any law firm, because until unless you go into the water, you cannot learn swimming. For learning swimming, you have to go to the water.
Yes,
So if you
yes,
depend
sir.
on the law firm on a salary basis, there is a less scope to expand your income or profession or the opportunity and the interest of this practice. But if you do independent practice, you have the scope to not learn only how to argue a case, but how to get the clients, how to deal with the clients. Because in law firm, you will not be given to permission to deal with your client. In law firm, you are under a senior advocate, there the limited work will be assigned to you. But dealing the client, how to uh, take out all these good points to prepare your case, how to do conferences with client, how to prepare a brief, how to argue, how to file. All this opportunity you will get only if you are practicing independently.
Yes, sir. That is the actual reason that you chose to be an independent practicing
Depend
lawyer over the job.
job.
Yes, sir. Sir, sir, could you please tell your field of practices so that
See, basically, I'm practicing here in Supreme Court as an advocate on record. My view is
yes, sir.
that advocate must know each and every word, right from trial court to the Supreme Court. So I expanded my field of practice even in the trial court, consumer forums, debt recovery tribunals, apart from practicing as an advocate on record. Suppose you are filing an appeal before Supreme Court, a criminal appeal, and you have no knowledge of trial, you will not be able to make out the grounds.
Yes, sir.
So knowledge of
Yes,
trial
sir.
of a criminal case is very important if you are going to file an appeal before Supreme Court. So you must know the procedure, how the case travels from the trial court, then appeal,
Yes,
then to the Supreme Court. So I have
yes, sir.
practiced rigorously even in the trial court, in the High Court, consumer forums, and mainly practicing in the Supreme Court as an advocate on record.
Okay. Sir, is there any specific reason that mainly you are practicing before Supreme Court? You are mainly most of the matters are before the Supreme Court. Is there any particular reason that you are choosing Supreme Court over High Court and other trial courts?
No, there is no specific reason. I said you just now before that I have practiced in every court extensively,
Yes.
even in trial court, even in High Court. As far as Supreme Court is concerned, once you become advocate on record and if you are, the more work is here. So basically we get confined to the Supreme Court work. Now,
Correct.
when I
Yes.
was junior, my senior used to send me to the trial court and High Court. Now this is the opportunity that we should send our junior to the trial court and we assist them so that they also can learn. If a senior advocate starts practicing everywhere, then there will be less opportunity for the juniors. So we are focusing mainly on the Supreme Court work, and we are assigning the other works to the juniors so that they also get the scope of exposure of the trial court and all other courts.
Yes, sir. Sir, according to you, what kind of skills one must develop or one should adopt to be an independent lawyer practicing independently?
See, for an independent lawyer, the most quality, three qualities required. You must have patience, honesty towards your client and work, and update about law. Generally, we forget this field. One has to be update about the latest law of the Supreme Court on any subject, because law is made by the legislature, but the final verdict given by the Supreme Court is the law of the land. So one lawyer must be updated with the latest law. Basically, we ignore this quality. Everybody say hard work, dedication, honesty. But I will say that the one most important quality, you have to be updated with law, because law is changing the change of society. Earlier,
Yes, sir.
criminal, even after this Nirbhaya case, the Juvenile Act, other criminal provisions have been changed. So we have to be we have must have the knowledge of the latest law and the up, law updated till date.
Yes, sir. Sir, could you please suggest that the young law students that how to manage the education academics at par with their internships?
See, practicing as an advocate and the difference between an advocate and law student. When you are in any law college in academic area, first you have to focus on the that what the laws are. on the
Yes, sir.
academic side. Because when you start practice, let me tell you one thing: a good advocate is one who doesn't mean that who knows every law, but at least he should know where the law is.
Yes, sir.
So if you go through the seriously in your academic session, and if you read, don't go in the selective questions or the answer book. Read the entire book, whatever is in your syllabus. You must know where. Even we refer the books in the courtroom. Even the judges refer books in the courtroom. It is not necessary that you have to learn and memorize the books. But at least you go through once. You must know where the law is. That is the basic only. So when you are in as a student, you just go through the entire syllabus, go through the entire sections once at least. And then when you come into the practice, the thing at least you know that where that law is. Then you refer the book, refer the judgments, prepare your case. So that is the basic difference between a theoretical part and the practical part.
Yes, sir. Sir, do you consider that a mentor is indispensable during the course of LLB for effective motivation?
Definitely, definitely, it is very one. We should uh, must have a good mentor, because I told you in the beginning that there are so many quality students and there are so many success stories. But the good mentor is a bridge between the student and the success. See, now see this program. This is the gem of Mr. Prem Kumar Agrawal. eh. You see, this is a result of a good mentor.
Yes,
He
sir.
left the judicial
Sir,
service. He chose the legal profession, noble profession of this teaching, only to give the good product to this legal field in the form of a judicial officer, in form of advocate, in form of law officer. So definitely a good mentor is really very necessary for a successful student.
sir, we all want to know that who was your mentor during your course of LLB?
See, though Mr. Agrawal was not my teacher, he was like my elder brother and senior to me. He guided me a lot, but when I was in Golabag law campus, hmm, there were many teachers, and one teacher was there, Mr. B.N. Chaudhary, hmm, who was teaching us taught, Mr. B.N. Chaudhary. So
Yes, sir.
it was very a sad story that even when his son was expired, he came to the classroom to took the class. So that was so inspiring and motivational for me that even today, I think that when you are at work, there should be no other excuse. When your teacher can forget that his son has expired and he has come to take the class, then that was a lesson to me that in future also, whatever emergency come, focus on your work.
Yes, sir. Sir, like we are very fortunate enough that you got a mentor. Even I got a mentor like Prem sir. Prem sir was my mentor during my course of LLB. Then suppose, sir, if someone does not have a particular mentor, then according to you, what thing means how they can inspire themselves?
See, this depends upon person to person and individual to individual. You first thing, one has to decide that he wants to go into the practice, because now mentor sometimes guides that you are vocal, you are studious, you should choose this field, or you should go in practice. But suppose nobody is having any such mentor, unfortunately. Though I will wish that everybody should get a mentor like Mr. Prem Kumar Agrawal, sir. But if somebody is not so fortunate to get any good mentor, you should judge his capability. That is the most important thing. You judge yourself that what is your ability and do best in that area.
Yes, sir. Sir, my next question to you is that what are the things that young lawyers should do as soon as they join the law profession or litigation?
They should read sincerely the brief, the law point on the which brief is concerned, and the latest law. That is the basic thing. Suppose anybody is approaching you, any client is approaching you with regard to a land dispute, with regard to a criminal matter, with regard to a civil property dispute, with regard to the contract contract law. So the basic thing is you must be, your concept should be clear about that law, then only you can advise. For example, I can just cite an example. If you know the latest law about the maintenance, that whether a major daughter is entitled for maintenance under one section 125 by father or not. So if you don't know the latest law about this, provision is there, law has not been changed, but the pronouncement of judgment on this topic by the Supreme Court is the final law. So suppose a client is approaching you, you should be very clear and you should be updated on that law. Then only you will be able to guide your client. So first thing for a new advocate who is joining this profession, my sincere advice will be that you go through the briefs. A briefs given by a senior contains many things, and a brief can make you learn so many things. I will give an example. Suppose I am giving a brief of Supreme Court special petition to you, and suppose it's a criminal matter, then that brief will contain the FIR, the brief will contain the charge sheet, the brief will contain the trial court order, the brief will contain the copy of appeal to the High Court, the brief will contain the appeal order of the High Court, and then this. Now, suppose the brief is given and a junior starts reading the order of High Court, then it's wrong. You read from the beginning that the FIR, then charge sheet, then see, this is the brief is making you learn. The teacher is not required. If you read the brief sincerely, you will able to know the many things. That first FIR, then charge sheet, then if it is a magistrate court or it's a session court. Why session court? Because the offence are this. If offence is less than by the magistrate court, well, then you are giving what is the nomenclature you are filing before High Court? It's a criminal revision or a criminal appeal. Then you put this question to your senior. So a brief can give you, make you learn so many things. But what the now this generation or the some advocate doing, they finally want to argue before the court. But you must read the file handed over by your senior, so that even if without senior you can learn so many things.
Yes, sir. Sir, what sort of attitude one must adopt when that person is particularly appearing before the courts?
You should be very polite and very humble to the court. You are arguing before a judge, not addressing any mob. So there is no need to raise your voice. There is no need to give any body gesture or aggressive gesture. You focus to your point. When you are addressing a court, you first must tell the court what is the fact of the case. Until and unless you politely address the court that this is the fact, now say under this fact this is your grievance and this is relief I want, then it will be countered by other side. But as per the ethics is concerned, you be very polite, very humble, and don't repeat a thing time and again, because the judge who is sitting, if you repeat 10 times a point, that is not going to add strength to your case. Once you address the court in a logical form with latest law position and you have put your facts clearly, that's enough.
Okay. Sir, we very often see that most of the bright students in who are bright in academics and all, they usually avoid join litigation and they prefer joining law firms and other jobs over the litigation. Sir, is there any particular reason that they don't want to join litigation?
Yeah, that may be their personal choice. I tell you, that may be their personal choice. There is no reason. I choose this profession. That was my reason. Somebody is joining a law firm. Might be somebody's desire to only do the research work and assist the many other in the legal field. So that is the choice of a person.
Yes, sir. Sir, then is there any gender discrimination in the legal profession or particularly in litigation?
See, that theoretically there is no gender discrimination, we all are equal, whether a female advocate or a male advocate, and even female advocates are doing very well, and there are so many honorable judges in the High Court, in the Supreme Court, even in the legal field. There are so many additional Solicitor Generals are the female who are holding the good position and with equal to the male. But as per on some aspect practical is concerned, practical aspect is concerned. Suppose when you are starting a profession, a female advocate and a male advocate, where the difference is, suppose we sometimes we have to run in the night, we have to approach the concerned police station along with your client at 2 o'clock. So being by virtue of a male, you feel safe to even go at 2 o'clock in the night and defend your client, and this sometimes becomes difficult for the female, and plus the noble responsibility they are rendering to their family also makes a practical some difference between the male advocate and the female advocate, because they have the responsibility of family also, where generally we male sometimes give priority to work, but that is all the sacrifice when the lady advocates are giving, because that is some part of nature.
Yes. Sir, how can we empower more women to enter into the field of litigation and practice?
The motivation and the support, and it's our responsibility also, we all advocates plus the family members, we should support them and we should encourage them that there is no difference. Now the world has moved in the 21st century, and this is the era where we should not discriminate on the ground of gender or sex, and so we should the motivation and support from all of us. But this is the only practical approach. Otherwise, in theory, we may write so many theses on this. But until and unless we give the physical and the in practically support, then they will not come at par with us.
Sir, do you think that any advocate can brings changes in the society?
Definitely, you see, if you see or the history of our nation, you'll see the many good politician or the good judges or good advocates. They have raised the social cause on the whether it was issue of Nirbhaya case, in amendment of law, or consumer law, wherever the consumer protection act is a, you can say it's a platform where every even a normal layman man also can raise his issue, and that how his right can be protected. And an advocate said earlier, we are the social doctor. We are the social doctor. If you see some injustice, we must raise our voice, and we should raise our voice within the purview of the law, and with the objective and with suggestion. Not only raising a voice is important, even giving suggestion and solution to that with the logical mind is also the duty of advocate.
Sir, as we all know that you are in the panel of Supreme Court Legal Services Committee, then sir, could you please tell the importance of pro bono legal work that for or fighting a case for the needy person who is seeking justice?
It gives pleasure. I will say in one word that it gives pleasure. The legal fraternity has given you so many things, so many uh, opportunities. You are earning from this profession. So at a time comes when you have to pay back to the profession. So I was in the legal service committee on the panel, and if you were a law scholar there, you must be knowing that earlier when Justice Lukur was
Yes, sir.
the chairman of the committee, then he raised a project Sahyog. In that project, the convict person who are in jail and nobody is representing them throughout the country, they are given an advocate through the legal aid that was named as Project Sahyog. I was part of that Project Sahyog, and we have done so many matters under that project. So it gives you, we have to do the video conferencing with the criminal, the clients, convicts, or their family member if they are not, there is no facility of video conferencing in jail. So we used to gather all this information. We used to try our best that we can give somebody relief who is not represented for years. Even he is in jail for 20 years, nobody has represented. So it's simply a pleasure. It's given now, and it is the time when the law profession has given me so much. So I should at least return back something to the legal profession.
Very true, sir. Very true. Sir, due to this pandemic, now all courts are functioning online. Sir, do you think that this online mode of litigation is good for the judiciary as a whole?
See, this pandemic of COVID-19 has introduced this system, you can say, that only due to this situation it was introduced. But as per my knowledge is concerned, even the Supreme Court earlier, before this COVID-19 situation, they thought to introduce this e-filing and everything, e-hearing was in the Supreme Court. Now, as per Supreme Court is concerned, the infrastructure of some of the courts, Supreme Court and some of the high courts, even the trial courts are good, but not up to the mark, so that everything can be done through this virtual court. Number one. Number two, the virtual court is no doubt adequate for the small matters, but where there will be a voluminous matter, because we know in the practical, in the physical court, a senior advocate is assisted by 2 3 juniors, so many law books, so many files. So all these voluminous cases are not possible through this virtual court. Small matters where there are only 2 advocates, there are no requirement of other assistants, or there is no so many law books to refer, are very good as per this hearing in Supreme Court is concerned. Now the difficulty is in trial court. Trial of a case cannot be done virtually. How will you need the evidence? Because in a trial court, in a criminal matter, you say on oath that whatever I'm saying true and nothing, no false, and only true. So on oath we give our testimony and depositions. So that is not possible. The trial of a case is not possible through the video conference. But as far that some hearings are
Okay.
concerned, it's good. And if the infrastructures are and the connectivity is improved, then I think one day we can handle maximum cases through this virtual hearing. But as far some part is concerned, the physical trial and physical testimony and physical appearance is necessary.
That's what you very lucidly explained the advantages and disadvantages of the online proceedings. Thank you, sir. Sir, according to you, that which section of the judicial system is mostly affected due to this online hearing and functioning courts online?
See, the maximum affected judicial part is the advocate and the litigants. The connectivity between the litigants and advocate has been completely destroyed. Now, earlier the client is also used to come and used to hear their cases. Now, as per the pendency of the case is concerned, that is increasing, because in virtual hearing, due to some technical fault, sometimes hearings are installed, the cases are not finished on the board, the court is adjourned. When it was a physical hearing, suppose 60 matters are on board, the matters were being taken up even on the miscellaneous day or regular hearing day. Now suppose some technical problem occurs, because in this our infrastructure and internet connectivity is not so updated, that if there is some technical glitch, then at that time the court proceedings are installed. So I think the pendency of the cases will increase due to this virtual. The ethical litigant who is to approach the advocate, because everybody is not well connected with this hearing and advocates. Sometimes clients used to go to the court and search for their advocates. So that litigants are very helpless, because usual hearing nobody is entertaining them.
Okay. Sir, do you think that young generation is more at an advantageous stage when it comes to the online hearing?
Yeah, definitely, because the young generation, they are very acquainted with this technology. Because 2 3 years back, even the Supreme Court registry started that there will be no filing of physical paper book. We have to give the soft copy. All the courts were installed the system to start the hearing with the soft copy. But as the few judges were they were not acquainted with the technology, so that things were removed, and again this physical hearing started in the Supreme Court. So as per the young generation are concerned, they know how to connect and all this technology, they are update how to upload and everything. So no doubt, as per this virtual hearing is concerned, the young generation is in advantage.
Sir, the next thing that we all wanted to know is that your view on criticism towards the judgments and judiciary, and with respect to reasonable restrictions, or is it covered under reasonable restrictions enumerated in Article 19 of the Constitution,
See,
or is it
every
amounts to contempt of court? Yeah, sir.
no, a fair and reasonable criticism does not amount to contempt of court. The without criticism, see, the bar is the mother of judiciary, as said by the present Chief Justice, Justice Bobde. So bar and bench, both are the two wheels of this system, judicial system. And judiciary is not completely untouched with the criticism. The bar and the advocate have right to criticize the law laid down by the court or the judgment, but we are not supposed to criticize the judge. We are not supposed to criticize the court. You criticize the viewpoint given by the court with your viewpoint. That should be the logical, and that does not amount to freedom, but an act that lowers down the dignity of the institution. The criticism which lowers down the dignity of the institution, the criticism which breaks the confidence of the general people from this system, is not permissible.
Yes, sir.
Criticism should be reasonable, fair, and with a logical view and within the parameter of the law.
Yes, sir. Sir, is it mandatory for a lawyer to speak for his clients all the time? Specifically in case when the views of a particular lawyer and his clients does not match, then is it mandatory?
No, you have to. A lawyer may ask for the moon. A lawyer may ask for any. A litigant may ask for anything. Litigant may say anything to argue for you, but you have to address before the court the correct factual position and the latest law on that topic and subject, because the litigant, your client, is a layman. He is biased with his case, his or her case. He is prejudiced with his her own facts, and he thinks that whatever he thinks as per his right is concerned, he is right. But as an advocate, you have to balance between the law and the relief of your client within the parameter of law, and then accordingly you have to make the submission before the court.
So, kindly tell us about some challenging moments in your practicing career that you faced when you were in litigation.
When I started practice in 1999, I passed out from Burdwan University and I came to Delhi, and I went to so many chambers for juniorship, but nobody gave me a chance. Ultimately, one of my senior, who is Mr. Bijan Ghosh, who gave me the opportunity, I worked under him for 1 year, and thereafter I started practicing independently. The challenges were so many, multi-folds, and there were a lot of problems, but there was only determination that if I do hard work, it will pay someday. And the challenges were like that we used to travel in buses, stay in rent accommodation with so many friends. You have to manage your financial plus you have to cope up with your office also. So these were challenges, but I think if one patiently handles the situation, he can overcome all these challenges.
Sir, what kind of advantages one may get while he is practicing law before courts? Means, sir,
Can you
what
repeat
kind
your
of
question?
yes, sir. Sir, we all wanted to know that what kind of advantages one may have while he or she is practicing law before courts. Yes, while is in being in litigation, what kind of advantages we can get?
So being in litigation, see, there is, if you flourish in this profession and you can practice uh, and have so many litigation and clients. See, first thing, financially you can earn more money, but you will not get in a job. You can do 10 matters, 20 matters in a month, and you can earn lakhs of rupees. You can contribute to the legal field from that. You can contribute to your juniors, you contribute to your fraternity from where you have passed out. So the financial aspect is that you can earn more much, but where in other field there is a cap. Suppose you are in service, you will be salaried. Suppose you are in law firm, you are paid. So individual litigation gives you financial independence. Number two, the independence of work. You can work till 12 o'clock at your means you can attend the court in off time. You can also do your works, and litigation gives you more much scope, opportunity to raise the issues, while others some have limitations. If you are in practice, the new challenges will come. Suppose, for example, I am telling you, I joined practice. Nowadays in Delhi, you get FIR in typed form. FIR is computerized. The first PIL I filed in Delhi High Court to type the FIR, because earlier FIR were used to be written in hands. So you are not able to read. Then you
Yes,
have
sir.
to give a translation copy. So see, I was in practice, so I faced this challenge that FIR should be typed. So I filed a writ petition in Delhi High Court. That was allowed. From that day, now you get a typed FIR.
Yes, sir. Sir, is there any demerit also in practicing law before courts?
Everything has a merit and demerits. Suppose this COVID-19 situation, you are seeing across the country that many advocates are not in good position due to this closure of physical courts and everything. One who is in job and other law firms, they are secure, but one who is independent and he was just in the beginning stage of his career, so they are in difficulty now. So there is a disadvantage also, insecurity also in some sense to some young lawyers.
Sir, what would be your final advice for the law students for joining litigation?
No, joining litigation, as I will say, to come into the practice, because here your mind is independent, you have lot of scope, you can do much more things. If you want to practice before Supreme Court, it will be better if you qualify advocate on record examination, and you focus practice here. You must visit, and you must visit trial courts. You must know the work of trial court. And suppose even if you are working in Supreme Court, hardly matters. Somebody says that if you are practicing in Supreme Court, then you will be untouched with the trial court. Suppose I am giving you a SLP, civil, criminal, consumer, whatever it may be. The case proceeds with a list of events. There is a chain of events. So if a law student, if you practicing anywhere, if you go with the chain of events, you will never get the disconnected with the fact of the case. It will be under your control, and you can do better and you can present better. Now, wherever you practice, where people are known to you, because who refers cases to an advocate? It is the people who knows you. Suppose you go to a strange place where nobody knows you, then how the people will refer you the case? So after completing law, you must choose the place of practice. That is important, where to practice. Second, then in which field you have to practice. Third, then don't hesitate that what work, right from the work of Munshi to the work of argument, you must do each and every work because you are lawyer. The brief is only your responsibility. You cannot say that this was the mistake of so and so. So this is your child, you have to take care, and sincere and thorough study of the case and the latest judgments and connectivity merging both together will give you will make you a good advocate.
Okay. Sir, as we all know that you are an advocate on record in the Supreme Court. Sir, we all wanted to know that what are the main, is there any age limit for appearing for the UR examination?
No, there is no age limit, but there is a cap of that you can apply for 5 chances only. Only 5 chances.
Yes.
There is no age limit. And after completing 4 years of practice, you have to undergo the training under an AOR who is having a standing of 10 years. So this 4 year private practice plus 1 year training. After 5 years, you are eligible for sitting in the examination. After qualifying that exam,
Sir, yes, sir. Sir. So, sorry, sir.
Now tell me what is your next question?
Sir, actually, we all wanted to know from you that that your advice for clearing the AOR examination means on which particular portion one must focus so that the he or she can clear very easily that AOR examination.
See, the advocate on record examination consists of 4 papers. First paper is
Yes, sir.
constitutional law and Supreme Court rules. So you have to focus on the
Yes, sir.
Constitution of India and Supreme Court rules. Second is the drafting paper, and third is the professional ethics, and then the leading cases. So leading cases are the cases which have been decided by the Supreme Court. So generally, again the things come that the latest law on each and every subject, which is in the latest judgment in the syllabus of the Supreme Court advocate on court examination. You must go through the latest law, the list given in the paper 4, constitution and professional ethics. These are the fields if you focus on this. And in Supreme Court rules, Supreme Court site you will get Supreme Court rules, and there is a regulation for advocate on record examination. One can take help from the Supreme Court website itself, that what are the syllabus and what are the course.
Sir, another the final question that we already we have taken so much time of yours, but the final question is that what are the advantages one may get after clearing the UR examination? If you could explain.
See, you become eligible because you know that in Supreme Court only advocate on record can file the cases. It can be argued by any senior advocate or other advocate, but the advocate on record is answerable to the court for all the purpose. So you have a big responsibility, and this gives you opportunity because suppose there are here 15,000 members in our bar in Supreme Court, you can say, but the number of advocate on record is very less. So all the filing will be routed through all these advocates. So definitely that gives an addition in your professional career, and that gives you advantage in terms of money as well as in terms of exposure before the court.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your for sharing your experience and knowledge, and it would be a great help for us and the young lawyers. Now,
Thank you.
I would like to, yes, sir. I would like to pass over to Sir Prem, sir.
Thank you, Joydeep. Thank you, Anurag.
Thank you, sir.
It was lovely listening to both of you. One, an experienced advocate on record, and the other, aspiring to be an advocate on record. Anurag, had not only practiced successfully for the last 2 decades in the Supreme Court of India, and he is one of our prides, but then he has been shouldering a lot of other responsibilities also. For quite some time, his name featured in the Bar Association of the Supreme Court as treasurer and various other responsibilities. Anurag, thank you for your time. This
Thank
investment
you,
of
sir.
yours, this
It was my
investment,
pleasure. It
yeah,
was my
thank
pleasure
you,
too, sir, to be part of this program
thank you,
and to be connected with you after a long time.
thank you. This investment of yours will reap rich dividend for the posterity, for the young law students. And Joydeep also got an opportunity to interact with a senior like you. Joydeep is also always very energetic and ready to learn, because I know Joydeep worked for some time with the legendary Ram Jethmalani in his chamber, and he's always eager to get these opportunities. So I'm sure Joydeep will also prosper very well in life. And Anurag, all the best for you for your pro
Thank you.
bono work
Thank you.
and lot of success in your professional life, so that people can get more help from you. Another thing I should not forget before I end, Anurag walks the talk, because when the question was put regarding gender discrimination, I know Anurag's wife, Madam Pandey, is also an advocate on record in the
Yes.
Supreme Court of India, and he has motivated and encouraged his wife to join the profession. What can be a better testimony than this? That he really encourages women to come to this profession and sort of mitigate this complaint that women are not encouraged to come to the profession. So we should applaud advocates like Anurag. Thank you so much, Anurag, and thank you, Joydeep.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
sir.
I,
Thank
I,
you,
I,
Jaideep.
I thank you, sir. Sir, I want to convey my thanks to our beloved and respected Prem sir. That sir, because of you, we are getting these opportunities to interact with the legal luminaries in the legal field. Thank you so much, sir. I convey my thanks
Jaideep,
on behalf of the law
and,
students
and,
and lawyers, sir.
and Jaideep, I will ask you to personally meet me. You are in Delhi, and if any help
Sir,
I can tell you, please let me know.
sir, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Sir,
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.